Hey Ummas! Welcome to the Old Umma Club. I'm Joyce.
And I'm Sophia.
We are two friends in Los Angeles who had so many great coffee chats about our love for Jesus, being Korean in biracial marriages, and having kids mid-career, mid-30s. So we decided to turn it into a podcast.
So grab a cup of coffee and join our conversations about aching backs, motherhood, marriage, Jesus, and everything in between. You ready?
하나,
둘,
셋, let's go!
Let's go. Hey Ummas, this is Sophia. Before we play this episode, I just want to warn you that the first two episodes of this season, the sound quality is a little bit clunky because we had some technical issues, but that's all been resolved. So from season 1, episode 3 onwards, the quality is much better. All right, that's all. And on back to the show.
Hey Ummas! Welcome to the first episode of Old Umma Club. This is Joyce. And we thought we'd start the first episode with the very fundamental, beginning, basic questions of what is an Umma? Which now that I'm thinking about it, it feels way more high level than just as like a basic question of what is an Umma? What are we? How are we as a mother? I don't know. Now that I'm thinking, I was like, this is a deep question.
It is a deep question. Let's get to the fundamental root of what our image of being a mother is and what our expectations and our ideals of motherhood, where we place our priorities and the values of motherhood. And I think everybody has different ideas of what they think a mother should be like. And then in the midst of motherhood, that arises a lot of challenges when our expectations and our ideals don't match up to reality.
And the reality of just like our own generational experiences, the family history and what's in our bones, and that conflict of what our own expectations are. And then the reality of being a parent in whatever situation that we have.
Correct?
Yeah. Because in my mind, I originally envisioned a motherhood as like a thriving stay-at-home mom.
Oh, really? Since you were a kid?
Since I was a kid.
Okay.
And then I stopped thinking about it once I graduated college.
But there's a lot to even unpack there because what does a thriving mother mean and why would that be an ideal?
I don't know.
So let's dive in.
Let's dive in. Okay, so we're going to break it down of seeing like, what is our concept, or do we have an unconscious idea of what image of what an Umma is? The first talking point that we wanted to go into is, what is this idea and concept in our mind?
I think the idea of what a mother is one of the most earliest image that we form, even as a child and as a baby. Assuming that you do have a mother as you grow up, that our image of a mother is being formed even before we have a conscious idea of what that means.
Yeah.
And that shapes a lot of our perceptions and our expectations as we ourselves become mothers, or even before we become a mother. I would love to hear from you, Joyce, like what you thought an Umma looked like.
Yeah, so I think if I'm thinking back to, like I mentioned it earlier, as a kid, I imagined this thriving stay-at-home parent, right? Stay-at-home mom. And I think in my mind, moms are superheroes and are women who can do it all. The women in my family have always been very strong, independent, make their path kind of woman. And they were all great mothers, right? My mom, she has her ups and downs with it, but like considering what she was given in her life, she was an excellent mom. And she was a superhero in my mind. So I think that was in my head. But in my mind, I also thought I wanted a parent who stayed home more because my mom worked all the time. So I think that's where I was. And my mom even said I was always the weird kid from her friend groups. Like, I was the one who always just talked about becoming a mom, and none of her friends' daughters ever talked about it. They talked about their careers. My mom's like, you were just fixated on, like, having a child, like, having a family ever since you were little. I did talk about my own career, but that's where it was. Like, I just always had this nurturing idea. So I think in my mind is like, woman, an Umma is a person who could do it all, who could have that meal on the table, who could still work. Societal culture coming at me now. I'm like pressures. and who was still home. But this was me as a child. So I'm like, yeah. And then I stopped thinking about it for a long time until I became a mom. And then I just like, I think now it's just the idea of a mother is more of almost like more crunchy granola-y. So it's more of this like soothing figure, like soothing comforter figure in my child's like life, I think.
Huh, that is interesting. So going back, your idea of mother as a superhero was formed by the strength in your mother, also the things that you didn't get from her. So in a way of saying, her strengths and deficiency informed what you think an ideal mother should look like.
Yeah, like my mom was like, I think about it now, I'm like, how the heck did she do it? Like she had, because my mom worked at a Korean beauty salon, so she had to be there from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. But I was still in elementary school. So she'd wake up at the crack of dawn and she'd have breakfast on the table for me ready to go. She had snacks made so that when I came home, because I was a latchkey kid, so I come home and I was by myself, she had snacks and a lunch and a dinner, all set. Even though my brother sometimes ate it all and I had enough food, but that's a whole other story, you punk. But yeah, and so then that was my norm. Like every day my mom made 3 meals before she left for work. And so then, but now that I'm an adult and I'm a mom, I'm like, how did she do that? And she baked a cake.
Wow. She was a planner and a maker, a mover, a shaker.
I don't know how she did it, but it was like 장조림 and stuff. And I was like, how do you, wow. So I think she had, I don't know.
She was great at time management, that's for sure.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't have that. I don't have good time management.
But it sounds like your standards for an ideal mother has changed.
Oh my God. The reality smacks in your face. But yeah, reality smacks in your face. But yeah, so that was basically, I think now I've really been just like wrestling of what is an Umma? What does an Umma look like? What does an Umma look like for my kids? And I think right now, looking at my kids, I think for me, the image of the mother is more of just providing the comforting aspect and like providing almost like a foundation for the kids. And then as they get older, it's just going to morph because boys become boys and I'm a mother and our dynamics are going to change a lot. So I think my idea of what an Umma is has really been evolving and I'm not really sure how to accept that. I've actually been really wrestling with that myself where I'm like, oh, like this relationship is changing and I don't really know where it's going to go. And so I was actually listening to What Fresh Hell on here on the way back here. And their whole thing was like talk about like you're going to, as a parent, you're the one who builds the hearth is what they called it. So it's like you build the foundation that you're just always there and you're foundational and they come and go, but you're always steady. And I think that's what's like what I've been really trying to wrestle into is like, how do I be a steady person for my kids? Because I'm not. But yeah, I'm like so volatile. And I think that's where I get like my extra guilt is like when I get these volatility in my emotions and my mental health and my stability, then I'm like high anxious kind of person. So then I spiral and I'm like, my children are all going to be ruined because of me.
You know what's interesting though? Because now it sounds like your image of an ideal mother is informed by your own deficiencies instead of your mother's deficiencies. Okay.
Yeah. I think because my own deficiencies are coming from the deficiencies I experienced as a kid, right? I didn't have a mother in the home like I did when I was little, but I don't remember any of that. And so after that, from where my actual memory starts, I don't have an image of my mom at home at all.
Okay. Which add to that your father was not around.
Yeah, but my father, actually, ironically enough, when I was young, before the divorce settled, was home more often than my mom ever was.
Okay.
My dad was always one who left work and came home at a predictable time, was there for school pickups, all that stuff.
I see.
Yeah, so it's very interesting, like, experience, I think. But, yeah, and so I think then, now that I've become a mother, I realize I'm like, I never saw my mom do any of this stuff. I never, like, physically saw her at home with me. So I'm like having to create this construct of a mother at home because I don't have an actual example that I grew up with. So I think that's also hard. So I have to like self-evaluate myself and then create that image based on my own self-evaluation. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
You are learning as you are
Experiencing, doing.
motherhood.
Oh, girl.
I had the opposite experience because my mother was a very traditional stay-at-home mother. And I grew up as a missionary's kid, and my father was gone 3/4 of the year to different countries. I spent a lot of time at home with my mother and my younger brother. She was the one who was always present and doing the dishes, doing all the traditional domestic work, whereas my father was off jet-setting around the world, preaching, doing God's work, doing mission work and all that. And I think on a very flip side from you, I saw my dad as the superhero and the ideal person to be.
Yeah.
Doing actual great works
Yeah.
outside, whereas my mother's inside doing tasks and chores and all the invisible things that you just take for granted, and there's no thanks. There's no gratitude there, right? Really no sense of accomplishment or purpose. There's nothing grand about folding laundry and washing the dishes and making keranjin. So I think from a young age, I actually saw that, and I did not want that. So it's so interesting because I got the mother you wanted, whereas but then I focus on what I think maybe it's just human nature where the grass is greener on the other side and you're always dissatisfied with what you have. And I never realized what a blessing it was to have a stay-at-home mom. But as I got a little older and I started looking at other moms who are working and seem to have a career, and I wished my mother had that too. That she could show me what that superhero mom is, of like having it all, whereas she was just very traditional. And even the marriage was very traditional, where my dad was that head of the household. He's a very strong dominating personality, whereas my mother is just very naturally, not forced, not oppressed in any way, but just very naturally submissive. And she saw her role as a supportive role, and she liked that. She always wanted a husband who can protect her and lead her and guide her. That was what she wanted. And so they had a very happy marriage. But me, even as a child, I knew that I was very not like my mother. I had very strong ambitions and had very strong and stubborn and opinionated personality, plus a humongous ego, where I thought I was great stuff. I thought I was meant for great things, and that did not include washing the dishes and folding laundry. That was just my idea of hell. So for me, if you ask me what was a mother, yes, I would say, a mother is like my mother who stays at home and watches the kids and plays a supporting role to her husband. And that to me sounded miserable. And I was not informed by feminist ideas. I didn't know anything about feminists. I mean, I was not reading feminist literature at 5 or 9, which was really when I started realizing this is not what I want. I think I had a very limited, restrained view of what motherhood is. Okay, a mother needs to be constrained within this very typical, stereotypical, traditional gender roles. That was the model I had. Because I did not want that, I realized very young, I don't ever want to be a mother. So it's interesting because we come from very different backgrounds, and we still seem to have quite similar ideals of what motherhood is, and whereas I rejected that, you seem to have embraced it and longed for it.
I embraced it and longed for it, and then I had it, and I said, I don't know if I want this. To back, I backpedal.
The idea always seems so much rosier.
I think because in my mind, my husband is also a millionaire, so that
Was he running?
No, but I don't remember financial hardship ever. Yeah. And I feel like that's also like an immigrant. So for me, they, I think, were so protective of me being a baby, a young child, that they kept me in this bubble. So like I knew we weren't as rich as all the other kids. Like we lived in a very gang heavy neighborhood. Just like shootouts, helicopters, like the ghetto birds going all night. We've had dead people on our streets, like when we've come home from church a couple of times.
Boy.
That kind of stuff. But I felt safe because my family did such a great job at creating the safety net, which maybe that's also where some of my unconscious, I want my children to feel safe. That was always never a question for me. Like I always felt safe. Even though my brother was scared the crap out, he's, do not ever answer the phone call. And he's like, we're going to get called to CPS. And I was like, I don't know what that is.
Oh my goodness.
Answer the phone. Like we had a whole protocol. If I answered the phone, I'd be like, oh, Mom, I'm going to get the phone. And then I'd answer the phone. So it always seemed like I was home with someone.
Were you alone at home from the age of 5?
7.
7, okay.
That's what I can remember from my memory. So 7 was when the divorce finalized. Before that, they were separated. And I think they separated when I was around 3 or 4.
But your mother, from the time you were 7, or maybe even earlier than that, she had to play the role of 2 parents.
Kind of.
No?
She just worked.
Okay.
She just cranked out the money. And my brothers,
your brothers were
the ones who had to figure out how to
take care of you,
raise a 7-year-old little girl.
I see. Okay.
And they were 18 and 20. And my 20-year-old brother, I love him. It was just, I think he took the divorce obviously really hard. And so he dug in deeper to his friend community because he's older. So my middle brother, Tuchioka, he was the one who really like swooped up and actually stepped in as like a fatherly role. So we had a very weird, enmeshed, and weird friend like relationship because he was the one at 18 years old was the one who was like punishing me, was the one who was like created every rule of my life basically. Like he's the one who raised me. And so it was like him and his friends raising me.
Wow.
It was a bunch of 18-year-old boys.
You know what? It sounds like your family did what they could.
Oh, they did
give
great.
You everything, necessity that you need for stability and at least a sense of security.
Yeah. And so I think for what we had and what we were given in our situation, my brothers and my mom did a phenomenal job. I never felt a need. I always felt provided for. I was probably babied a little too much because they, I think, felt so guilty about what I had to go through. So they over-accommodated in certain ways. Like I never knew how to do a vacuum until I was in junior high. And I only did the vacuum because my brother got embarrassed because someone at church was like, Joyce, can you vacuum the floor? And I was like, what's that? I had to wash the dishes, do the laundry, cook my own food. I did all of that when I was like 9. But I don't know what a vacuum is. I was like,
and now all you do is vacuum.
Oh.
I vacuum maybe 6 times a
Dude,
day.
it's my best friend. Like it's in my hand at all times. I'd vacuum my children if I could, if they weren't so terrified of it, but I would just... But why, right? As you're vacuuming, you look behind and there's just a new trail. Like, why do I vacuum?
I remember I was visiting my neighbor who's also a mother of 2 kids, and she was introducing to me this new vacuum mop, and we both got so excited about this. And I had never in my life been so excited about a vacuum mop, and I was thinking about, oh my gosh, I was planning ahead, Black Friday, I'm gonna get that vacuum mop. And I think this is the reality setting in of what motherhood is, though.
Yes.
It's
like, literally, I'm like, how do I clean this couch more efficient? Do we need to buy a portable cleanser? And I was like, ooh, look at this cool, I have portable cleaner. And Tyler's like, I don't even know.
the things we get excited about now.
You want your wife happy? Get me this cleaner.
So, okay, let's summarize. For you, it sounds like your ideal mother would be safe, present, nurturing, more traditional, I suppose. But also going out and having...
She's herself. Like, she's an independent person.
Okay.
And I think that's like where I respected my mom for that. She always had her own things. She always worked.
So is that what you mean by thriving? By thriving, you mean like she is still free independent and being herself? What does that mean to you?
I think thriving means thriving means being able to, I wouldn't say like killing it, but it's just more of like fully accepted and content in the situation that you are in right then and there.
I see.
She could be a working mom and having to be at the stay-at-home component. She could be just a stay-at-home mom. She could be both, but she's also content and she's also still her own self, not fully like my life has to be all around the children. Is like her identity is still independent, and I think that is also very safe for children. And so that in itself, because we have different identities, and I think that's important. So I think it's more of like safety, steady, like consistent, and then nurturing. And I think that's it, like really is what I mean. And being able to do those three, I think is thriving. Being an independent, like self-identified mother who is emotionally stable and is consistent in whatever form it might be. You might be working full-time and then coming home, or you might be staying at home, or you might be doing both. It doesn't matter as like whether the level of presence, but I think the consistency aspect is important. Not so much of always having to be a stay-at-home. I think I'm really appreciating the privilege that I have of being able to stay at home when they're so young, and understanding like that this is just a phase, because once they start going to school, like there is like a 9 to 2 freedom that I never have had before, and I have to explore that one. I'm like, what am I going to do? Am I going to dive into work? Who am I? And then I have to go through this whole other evolution of becoming a new person again.
Well, we'll get there.
Yeah, so that's like down there.
Yeah.
It's going to come faster than we realize, which is wild to think about. But yeah, so I think that's what I mean by like mother. Yeah. And I think consistent figure, stable, emotionally like stable and like independent in that. And I think, I think originally when I was younger, I thought being at home with the kids is what it is. But now that I am at home with the kids, like I love it. And also, I recognize like you can also be a strong, thriving mother that is not always home with the kids too. It just depends on the needs of the family and also the needs of the mother's mental health.
Correct. Well then, on that note, do you think you are thriving? You are a thriving Umma?
No.
Tell me straight.
Oh no. No, because I think I'm not the emotionally stable person that I would love to be. I'm still very volatile. And I think that's what's like, I know it. Like I like drop of a dime, I like flip and then I don't bring it back. But the thing I will say is like, my children will know what an apologizing parent is, because I'm apologizing several times a day for losing my cool. That's not okay. And so I think that's something my kids will at least always know, is a parent that will apologize and own up. And Kian will call me out on it. He's like, you're not supposed to do that. And I was like, dang it.
Well, he knows.
Oh, I know he knows too much. It is a good sign. He's like, you weren't supposed to do that. And I'm like, I need 5 minutes.
Through the mouths of babes, keep you accountable in the eyes of God.
And I love it. I'm glad that he feels safe enough that like he knows that he can call me out. I'm not going to be mad at him for calling me out on something. Yes. So I think that's where I am with like my motherhood image. And then for you, I don't think we ever got a full image of like where you feel like you are right now.
Well, I'm obviously an Umma. I somehow miraculously birthed 2 children out of my own.
And it was miraculous.
Yes.
That's the thing. It's like you're getting gifts to you where you're like,
oh. We will get to that story one day.
Yeah.
I would say at least the first one was completely unexpected. And yeah, it wasn't so much that I was against being a mother, as in I thought I always had to choose my career or motherhood. And I said, I don't think I'm cut out to be a mother because I'm not like my mother. I'm not gentle and kind and submissive and supportive and nurturing. I am a selfish,
you're young, so
I think I just acknowledged, I think I really focused on the bad parts of me. And then instead of being like, I can change that,
Right.
Being like, no, I accept who I am. That's who I am. And so I'm not going to be a mother. I'm going to terrorize and traumatize my poor kids. So I choose my career. And then I found out I was pregnant with my first son. And it was just a complete reorienting myself of what I think a mother is and also who I think I am. In a way, I was a little lucky or fortunate that I didn't set all these high expectations on myself.
Yes. You didn't already have this crazy ideal of what you wanted to be.
Right.
Yeah.
I had an image of what a mother is, but also that wasn't to me an ideal. I had an image of a mother based on my Umma, but also that was not ideal for me. So I didn't even have time to form expectations of myself as an Umma when I became an Umma. That saved me from a lot of what we call mom guilt or just a lot of anxiety and stress. I just had one goal as a mother, and that was to keep my child alive. And he's still alive.
He's thriving. He's doing great.
I do think that motherhood transformed me because now here I am with 2 kids and I'm arguing with my husband about wanting a third. So obviously I've been completely transformed. Either I became insane or somehow God just like really touched my heart, and I was shocked by how much I actually enjoyed motherhood. Not all parts of it.
Yeah.
But I found motherhood to be just the greatest gift I never expected and thought I did not want. For me, motherhood has become just a grace of God, period. And not that I have to be this crafty mom or this like mom who never loses her temper or this like crunchy granola mother or whatever like expectations people have. I just was forced to receive it as a grace of God. That the very fact that I have a child is a grace of God. And that he chose me to be Tov's mother, to be Uri's mother, is a grace of God. And I'm very grateful, even though this was completely not planned by me, not engineered by me, and not because I am so wise and so smart or so good, but it was just grace by God that I was able to receive it and see it as a grace of God. So yeah, motherhood now to me, like being an Umma, I think it's still quite a blank slate for me. And I remember one time, I think I was venting to you something, and then you said something that I still think about, and it was that God picked you to be his mother. So you are right now the perfect mother for Tove. And I really received that.
Oh, that was
the word of God.
I'm like, oh, I said that.
Yeah, you don't remember it, but that was the Spirit of God.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I decided to look at what being an Umma is. We have this abstract idea of what an Umma is, but then also I think it's important to realize that I'm not just an Umma, I am Tov's Umma, I'm Kian's Umma. And that looks different for every family depending on the dynamics, the kid, your marriage, everything.
Yeah.
So
totally.
Yeah, what is an Umma? What is a thriving Umma? I think we can both agree that we're still learning.
Oh, constantly.
And for me though, thriving does not have to mean that we've already reached that perfection.
Yes.
I think thriving for us, to be a thriving Umma, is to be an Umma who is constantly open to receive that gift from God, to receive the grace from God, but also open to correction.
Yes.
Open to edification, open to process our grief and our past trauma, and also open to being shaped by God, to be the best Kian Sama, to be the best Tov Sama.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as you're like talking about the grace of God, I don't know if this is how you felt too, but I feel like once I became a mother, the understanding of God's love became like so real to me. And like when I like look at my child, I'm like, holy crap. And like the fact that I'm like, my love for my child and what I experience is such a sliver that it's like, I feel like despite my inability to be consistent with reading the word or like praying, which I know is important and I still try, but like the greatest times, the deepest times I felt so connected to God and his grace and his goodness has been when I'm holding my screaming child who's flailing and slapping me in the face. And then I'm just like, yo, this is what you mean, Lord. I'm like, I get it.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? Or like, even when they're just like, you're doting on your child. And I was like, oh, like, I get it. Like, the Psalms, like, the Word of God, I mean, it's so real to me now. Because when I'm like reading it, I'm like, and the Israelites and the love and the persistence I got it, I was
100%.
like, I'm like getting teary-eyed. And I'm like, oh, and I'm like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. And I feel like motherhood and parenthood is not meant for every single one of us, but for those of us who have been given this like responsibility and gift, like I'm like, wow, what a gift. Because like we get to understand that. And like also we are edified because I feel like the responsibility of a child, there is no level of like unselfishness you experience.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Like your own personal suffering is one thing for sure, and exhaustion, but like inflicted exhaustion and self-sacrifice from your child, I'm like,
just constantly wrung out.
oh girl, like an old towel in the kitchen just sopping wet, sad dripping,
Smelling like mold.
oh, wondering when the last time it got
Being
washed,
frayed. On the edges.
constantly thrown on the floor.
And with like little bits of poop. That I don't know how it got there, but it somehow is.
Hold on, what are you talking about? What's going on in your kitchen?
Oh my gosh. You know, we are in the throes of potty training right now. I do not know how poop somehow gets everywhere. He told one time after he pooped, I don't know how, but he's been walking around, and then I realized that he has poop stains on his bare feet, and he's been tracking it all around the house. So I'm sorry, but my house is very unsanitary right now. But yeah, that is the life.
And then you still love that child.
I know, I know.
God. That's God right there.
Seriously, I do think there are so many ways to experience the love of God, and motherhood is one of the ways that is so visceral.
Yes.
It really hits deep.
Yes.
I always understood what it felt like to be loved by my parents.
Yes.
But then when you feel that parental love, it's oh my gosh, God, do you really look at me this way? Does your heart really feel this way as you look at me?
Yeah.
It does bring tears to my eyes too, because it is just wondrous. It is awesome.
Yeah.
Of like, wow. And I think that is such a gift that God allows us to just experience 1% or maybe even less of how he feels for us human beings, with all of our wickedness and our selfishness and our temper and our stubbornness and our disgustingness and our poopiness, all of it. And he still finds joy in us, right?
Yes.
Like, even though our kids drive us crazy sometimes, there are so many moments though where the joy that we just feel just by looking at them,
Yes.
just by touching their hands,
Yes.
just by bringing them close to our chest.
Yes.
The indescribable joy that God feels joy when he looks upon us, and that we can experience the joy that God feels in a human level on this earth. That's being an Umma to me. Yeah.
And even on the contrast of joy, like grief and sadness, like watching your child, even if it's like a very superficial level of sadness, like your heart as a parent, you're just like, oh. And like a healthy level where we're not like codependent and we're like, your pain is my pain, but we're like, I understand. And like that's sadness. And I feel like grief and mourning has been like so real in understanding God coming alongside that. And I think understanding like when like God says, I know every tear you shed, I know that with every tear like my kid has shed. And so I'm like, oh wow, like it isn't, you're not just with us, and my heart and my love for my child isn't just there in just when they're cute. Like it's the entire spectrum. And it's like, wow, like wow, God, like I see it now and I can feel you in it. I feel like that has been like an interesting journey as like a mother where no one's like really ever explained that to me or given me that heads up. People have just been like, it's hard.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And like when I came in, and that was like, because I remember I was like, when I was really in the throes of like postpartum depression with Kian, I remember I was staring at Kian and he was doing tummy time. He was little. And I was like listening to Maverick City music and I was just like having a really hard time. And I remember and I was staring at Kian and I was just like, I'm going to start crying. But I'm like, I just had such a deep love for him. And I just heard God's voice and he was just like, how much more do I love you? And I just remember I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm okay. It sucks right now. That's okay to say it. But I was like, oh man, okay, we'll get through this. And so I think it's been also a gift of being a mother and as well as being a Christian, because there are just times of being a mom where you're just like, I'm not going to make it. And God's graciousness and just like how we come into our children and try to carry them through in difficult times, God is so prevalent, so evident in that way. So it's just been like an interesting evolution of like an experience of motherhood and realizing like what Umma is just like you are like almost channeling and funneling to your child God's grace and love and persistence.
This is the paradox of being an Umma, is that while you're being an Umma and learning to be an Umma, you're also learning to be a daughter of God. And you are, as you said, channeling that love you experience as a daughter of God to your own children.
Yes.
I mean, at the end of it, I think we can both say we are very thankful to be mothers. There is so many definition of an image of what a mother is. And I think right now we just need to bring it down, simplify it, bring it down to the essence.
Yeah.
Being an Umma is just receiving the gift and grace of God and also learning to be the daughter of God.
Yeah, I think so. And being open-handed in that, understanding that I think motherhood and in the image of an Umma is, I think, being able to embrace change. And I think that's really what it comes down to. And I think a lot of times that's what it is. I think a mother who can change as the life demands of the mother changes, I think that's important. And I think that's where you and I are standing, because we're realizing it's constantly changing.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of people can say that. It's a way to keep you humble, like understanding and channeling. We're God's image bearers, which we've always been told, right, in the Bible. But I think it becomes so evident when you become a mother, is you're like, oh, I am, as parents, you're like, we are your first image of God.
Oh, that is scary.
That is terrifying, right? But really, we are your image of love. And it kind of marks that. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. That's hard.
Great. More sanctification ahead.
But we have
painful.
The grace and Holy Spirit of God and Jesus to help us through that.
I really think that God made me a mother because he knows I need to change in so many ways, that there are so many parts of me that needs to be scraped off. And the only way that could happen was through my kids.
For a lot of us, yeah, I agree.
All right. Why don't we pray us out? Joyce, do you want to pray for our fellow Ummas?
Sure. God, we thank you so much for the gift of being able to be a mother, that we recognize how it's a physical and emotional, spiritual privilege, and it is a gift that is not given to everybody. And so we take that weight with precious hands and we give you thanks, Lord. I just pray for every pair of ears that is listening, every mother that is listening and is here with us. I pray that your heart is lifted. I pray that you feel the presence of God a little deeper today. And I just pray that the words and the time that you have spent with us, with Joyce and Sophia, that was just a little moment where we can just feel a little closer to God too. Just as we talked about God, I pray that you are able to feel a little closer to the heart of God as well. And we just pray that as you go forward in your day, that you realize and that you're able to feel the presence of God just in a way that is different and a little more fresh. And so we say all these things in your name, Lord. Amen.
Amen. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If you've been liking our episodes, please follow, like, subscribe, or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd love to connect with you and hear your thoughts and feedback. You can find us on Instagram at The Old Umma Club or reach out to us at theoldummaclub@gmail.com. Gotta give a big thank you to Kevin MacLeod for our music. Until next time, Ummas, may the Lord bless you and keep you sane, hydrated, and fulfilled the way only He can.